are back after that much needed break. This is the Global Trade Session at the Second Africa Trade Conference 2022. And I am very excited about the next discussion that we'll be having. We do have two businesses who are based on the continent but doing business globally, and they're in two exciting industries. One is in the agribusiness industry, the other one is in the creative industry, which are industries that are very, very important on the African continent. And so we will be hearing their stories, how they started their business, what it is that they're doing on the continent, so that we can be able to understand what their business does and why they continue to build African brands globally. And so with that being said, I would like to introduce Mr. Vishnu Charran of Oxanic Grow. How are you, Mr. Vishnu? Great, and I do see him here with his partner, Rohan Yearwood.
Yes,
He just joined me on stage. Great, great. So yes, so we have you on stage while we're waiting for Miss Hellen Mtawali, who will be joining us. It looks like she's just taking a little bit time, but she will be joining us shortly. So thank you, Vishnu. Thank you, Rohan, for taking time today to share with us the work that you're doing in the agribusiness space in regards to Oxanic Grow, which is, we heard about it through a nomination that we actually reached out to people to share with us the different brands that they know that are doing great work on the continent, and your name came up. So we were able to do a little bit of research, see the great work that you're doing, and so we thought this would be a great platform for your team to be able to talk to us about that, so that people can know that work is actually happening on the continent. A lot of opportunities in the agribusiness space, and it's just up to us to take these opportunities and to take them global. So thank you very much for joining us today. And what I would like us to do is just start off by both of you introducing yourself. If I could start off with you, Mr. Vishnu, if you could just introduce yourself, what it is that you do at your company, and then we will move on to Rohan. Thank you.
Thank you, Annie, and good morning, everyone. As Annie said, my name is Vishnu Charran. I'm from the island of Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean. We're a long distance from Kenya. We are so happy to be here this morning. My core business has been in the field of education. We are a very popular name in the island of Trinidad. You just call the name Charran and people will recognize who we are. And I partnered with Ron and his family. Ronald is his father's name, who was working on this technology over the years. And so they invited me to be a part of their team to promote this thing globally. I just want to say yesterday, I was at the Caribbean Investment Forum, where we're promoting smarter and a greener Caribbean. And the guest speaker was His Excellency Wampele Mene. He's the Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Area. And he says something that I have been speaking about in many platforms, that we have very brilliant, innovative people in our country. And Ron is one of them who has developed the BOSS control system. So I'm happy to be here this morning to talk a little bit about what we do and what we can do for not only Trinidad and Tobago, but for the continent of Africa and the Caribbean islands. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vishnu. And yes, I'm glad to hear that Secretary General Wampele Mene was at an event at the Caribbean, because earlier on we were really speaking around AFCFTA. And of course, yes, as we build capacity on the continent, it then allows us to go global. So I'm very happy to hear that. And it's also great for us to share best practices, us on the continent and people across the world. So thank you very much for sharing that. Over to you, Mr. Rohan, if you could go ahead and just introduce yourself and the work that you're doing. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, my name is Ron Yearwood. I'm the CEO of Oxanic Grow. As Vishnu said, this company was started by my father and I, and he came on board to help us along. Basically, the idea behind our company is to create a more innovative way of doing agriculture, especially for people who have trouble with the environment, different and factors like that, where they have to fight against the environment, space constrictions and things like that. So that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to create a technology that can help to revolutionize the agriculture sector in that way.
Okay, thank you for that brief introduction. Great to hear two words, agriculture and innovation, right? Agriculture is very important on the African continent. We do have a lot of arable land, but over the years, we've seen the rise of urbanization. So that is where the technology comes in, because people in the cities also are looking to participate in more agriculture. So the work that you're doing is very, very, very important. So I do want to introduce Hellen. Before Mr. Rohani tell us more about it, and I believe you have a presentation, I'd like to introduce Hellen Akoth Omolo, who is doing phenomenal work in the creative industry. Like I said, when you think about Africa, you think agribusiness, creativity. There's no one more creative than an African. Okay, that's my story. But yes, and Hellen is an amazing, does a lot of work in the creative industry. So Hellen, if you could just share with us the work that you're doing at the Africa Online Vocalist and what it is that you think is important as you take this work globally. Welcome, Hellen.
Beautiful. My name is Hellen Olivia Akoth Omolo Nyarnyakach. Wakinena kaugu tutadongora therefore. Mtawali. That's innovation straight on. Eh? We talk about Africa and agriculture and innovation. Now this is innovation and music. So yeah, I founded Africa Online Vocalists. And where do we operate from? We operate right online. At a point in time, I was teaching music. I still teach music at Daystar University. That's where I hail from, but my skills have got me all over. I started out Africa Online Vocalist during the pandemic, 2020, when there was no movement, most people were in the house. And before that, what introduced me into this beautiful way for communication was Nairobi Performing Arts Studio. Those are part of the organizations that I partner with. So the government of Kenya invited me to teach Form 4s, teach Standard 8s, teach people how to sing, but online. So the dynamics of using technology, I got introduced into this beautiful way for people to learn how to sing, but through online. So how are we communicating with people from all over? We're using Zoom and using Google Meet. Actually, at that time, we're using Google Meet first. Then later on, I got introduced to Zoom. And as time went, we only could give 4 lessons to all these many people, and our classes were humongous. We had 1,000 plus people applying to come and join and listen to us teach the music, dance, and drama through Nairobi Performing Arts Studio. Then after that, I decided my class can't just learn music and go. Let me come up with something called awards. Award people who would come into my classes, and then I just bless them. Come to our classes, and they've never been celebrated. They're fantastic musicians. So I started Africa Online Vocalists, and guess what? I got people from all over the globe. I just introduced it. I was like, Africa Online Vocalists, and in my head I had American Idols, Britain's Got Talent, and all that. So I just started in a minor way, and I attracted people from about 7-8 countries. Today, I have to learn Indian music because of the dynamics of teaching people from the globe. And Indians came by, and apparently my vocals allowed me to learn how to sing Hindu, and these Indians were amazed. It did not stop at the awards. They had to tell me, no, can you train us? So I decided to come up with a syllabus that can help people from all over the world to learn in the best or the simplest way possible. When you talk about music, most people imagine that it is so difficult to sing. When you talk about music, everybody thinks about the classical music or, oh, holy night, singing like that. But when I introduced this, I allowed them to go all the way, discover different ways of singing, presenting themselves, as long as the culture comes in and they're able to fuse it with so many things. And as I continued going by, children came. Today, from 3 years old, all the way to infinity, attend my classes. And within less than a year, we garnered 14,000 plus followers. So I saw a need and I decided, let me go by. Apparently, most people who had singers had seen me doing a program called Tasker Project Fame. And apparently, those who were working with me also were from Tasker Project Fame, including Ian Mbugwa was one of my judges. I tell you, by the time we were finishing 1 year, I could invite people from South Africa. Those who know Soli Malangu, those who know Prophet Keke, they came, and I tell you, online is a place you can actually do so much, even without charging. So I invited Soli Malangu and this guy from South Africa, and I was able to have them teach in our sessions, train in our sessions. You know Regina Ray, the perfect communication, effective communication tutor or coach. I started getting people from different parts, getting interested to join us, to teach people from all over how to sing. It's as simple as how to sing. Now, so from Facebook, we went all the way. Now we have page on YouTube, pages on Instagram, on Facebook, and I'm telling you, social media has been one of our ways to communicate. How do we teach? We teach from Zoom and Google Meet, but we use people's videos. So at your own place, at your own comfort, you're able to send your videos and we give you feedback back and forth and sharpen you. Eventually, it did not just end up being online, because after Corona, there was life again and people wanted to see each other. So now we use those two mediums, not just online, but when we have the opportunity, we meet you physically from wherever. I tell you, I've traveled the country because of Africa Online Vocalists. So those who require more training, we get to them to where they are at. And then from getting to them where they are at, we're able to connect them with people, live audiences, for them to perform, because a musician is not a musician without performance. So we're able to get to the client and teach them physically, expose them and network and put them to channels where they can be able to perform. Who do I network with? I network with so many people, those who do camera, modeling, those who do dance, drama, those who do creativity and creative stuff. I'm able to network with companies that I can able to boost us. At some point, I connected with Jay Rodriguez, who does modeling. So we teach not musicians who just come and sing for us, but musicians who look good, musicians who know how they look. I say image is everything. Sometimes you require that look. And we teach them also how to be young. I'm 52 years old, but you wouldn't believe, because music can actually make you grow younger and younger. So I connect with people from the whole world. Photo Magic came one time. We were able to do our shows just like Tasker Project Fame, but be able to interview contestants who are with us, but also people from outside the globe who want to connect with us. And we're able to do our shows literally the way you can do or be get the privilege of being a host of my own show. That's why it's called Africa Online Vocalist with Hellen Mtawali. So you see, even for me, it sharpened my skill of being a host, a talk show host. We had a show where we now showcase these different gifts. Today, we have even 9-year-olds who do phenomenally musically. I talk about two people. You can later on check them out on Facebook. You can check out Angel Pamela Atieno and Tembisile. These are 9-year-olds who sing like grown-ups. You're like, I can't believe what comes out of your mouth. Angel sang with me for a month, and after that, Citizen took her. She now currently does Zora, and I think Zora got ended, but she got the opportunity to connect, not just with the industry, but get paid for their gift. All I can say is opportunities out there for musicians. What you need to know is to connect with us. I do my training at a very very cheap price. They say cheap is expensive, but in this rate, it is cheap that can make you personally be expensive. Because once you identify what you have from inside, discover that you can do music, dance, drama, creativity, and writing, you can become a public figure. Just like that. Because once you identify these skills, it opens and exposes you. Before you know it, you're talking to the world, telling people of where your journey has been. You become a celebrity just like that. And with social media, I tell you, this is the times people brag of themselves being known. They go online, and when we had competitions, they go online and people vote for them. Within a moment, somebody who was nobody becomes somebody. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Hellen, for sharing your journey, for sharing your story and painting this picture of the creative industry. And I really liked what you said, and I'll tie it together. There's innovation in agriculture, which I'll get Mr. Vishnu to delve deeper into, but also for you about innovation and music. And what I got from you is to say that this, which is trade in services and content and promoting creativity and being the voice of Africa and people really taking in what it is that we're putting out there, that it was born during a time of crisis, which was COVID.
Yes.
That to me is a great thing, because you took advantage of that time, took advantage of technology to reach out to the world. So digital trade, which we'll be talking about tomorrow, is what we call the great equalizer, especially for women and the youth of Africa. We need to take advantage of this time in history whereby the world is watching, we have the talent, we can put it out there. So thank you very much for sharing what it is that you're doing with the Africa Online Vocalist. And I know there's great talent that you're showcasing, and I believe that the audience will reach out to you, or at least Google you and your company, to be able to see what it is that you're doing and also take up your services. So thank you very much, Hellen. Let me go ahead to Mr. Vishnu. I don't know if you're the one who has the presentation, or Rohan. Could you share with us more around Oxanic Grow and the innovation that you're using to promote more agriculture on the continent in an innovative way?
Thank you, Annie. Ron is going to do the presentation. I just want to say that, judging from the effects of climate throughout the world, and I read in the news every day what's happening in Africa, in Somalia, in Kenya, and other parts of the world, we have come up with a solution. And as we are talking about, and I see all these wonderful ladies here this morning, what we are offering, women can even get involved in large-scale agriculture, and the technology that we have, you could use it either in a warehouse, or if you have a greenhouse, we can automate the greenhouse for you using technology today to grow crops. If there's a problem with electricity, then we can use solar power to operate the plant. If there's a problem with water, the cooling system generates its own water that you use in the farm that we have. So we have a solution for the climate, we have a solution for the water problem, we have a solution for the energy problem. And that's what I'm so proud to introduce Ron, who has developed what we call the boss control system that automates your greenhouse or your warehouse. So you can do vertical farming and you can grow whatever you want. You just tell us what you would like to produce, what your market is. We have the solution for that. So I now hand you over to Ron, Annie. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vishnu. Go ahead, Rohan, share with us the innovation that you have at Oxanic Grow. Welcome.
All right, thank you very much. Let me just share my screen. All right, so you guys see?
Yes, we can see it perfectly. Thank
Okay,
you.
perfect. All right, so yes, my name is Ron Yearwood. I'm from CEO of Oxanic Grow. All right, we are located in the twin island of Trinidad and Tobago, right off Venezuela. It's the last island in the Caribbean chain. And basically our brand of, or I shouldn't say brand, but our style of agriculture is controlled environment agriculture. Right, we bring agriculture inside where we can control the parameters surrounding it to produce the ideal plant. Outdoors, we have to fight against many different things in terms of weather, high humidity, pesticides we have to spray onto the crops just to be able to get our crops to grow. We have to fight against the pests, the environment, the weather, and different things like that are things that we have to fight against as farmers doing agriculture. So what we want to do is we want to try to reduce the frustrations of growing outdoors by coming indoors. Coming indoors, we're able to mitigate those different stress factors. The different frustrations of growing outside, we have to fight against the weeds that compete with your plants. The climate change that makes the weather pattern so unpredictable. Insects that just want to eat your crops before you're able to harvest them. Dogs that like to run through the garden and destroy your crops. Birds and iguanas that like to eat your different lettuces and kale and different things like this, as well as people who would come and take your crops and steal your crops for themselves. All right, so coming indoors, we're able to control most, if not all, of those factors. Coming indoors, you eliminate the environmental unpredictability. Coming indoors, you're able to control the environment to produce the ideal environment for the plant. Coming indoors, you're able to increase security so that you're able to fight against the pests, the animals, the people from taking your crops. Now, hydroponics, which is what we do, it is different. There are pros and cons to everything. In terms of hydroponics, some of the cons is that it requires high skill and knowledge to do it. The capital costs are very high. Scalability impacts profitability, and management and oversight are crucial. Also, small diseases that do begin can spread very rapidly inside a hydroponic system, and the nutrient response is also rapid. So if something gets out of balance, it affects the plants very quickly. Now, the pros to doing hydroponics is not dependent on location or climatic conditions. In other words, it doesn't matter where in the world you're located, you can grow any variety of crop. You could be in a temperate country and still grow tropical crops. You could be in a tropical country and grow temperate crops. Currently, we in our greenhouse, we're growing apples, we're growing strawberries in a tropical country. All right, and also near complete control is possible inside a controlled environment system. High yields are very possible because we optimize the condition the plant grows in. Conservation of water and nutrients are very possible. In our system is a water positive system, in that we actually produce more water than we use inside our system. So once started, we don't need to use water from the grid. The greenhouse recycles and produces its own water. Disease and pests can be closely controlled, as well as scalability is very, I wouldn't say easy, but it's very doable because our system is very modular. It also satisfies food safety concerns because once you're indoors, we no longer have to spray for fungus. We don't have to spray for pests. We don't have to spray for weeds. So there's no chemicals being sprayed on these plants, on these crops as they grow, which increases the nutrient value as well as reduces the toxins inside the plants, making it a lot healthier for the customer and consumer to eat. We use a soilless medium in that we don't actually plant our plants in soil. They're actually planted in nothing. The plants are actually planted directly into the system, bare roots. Now, hydroponics is hydro, meaning water, ponos is labor. So it's basically water working. The cultivation of the plants by placing the roots in the liquid nutrient solution rather than in the soil. This is basically the soil for plants. It acts as more of an anchor, as well as a container to hold the nutrients for the plant to be able to absorb them. But they also need two things to be able to absorb these nutrients. They need the right light spectrum, as well as they need the right amount of moisture in the soil to be able to dissolve the minerals so the plant can take it up. Putting these minerals directly into the water source and giving it to the plant, we eliminate that need for the soil And that way we can eliminate the effects of soil-borne diseases that could attack the plants, as well as the increased risk of fungus. So our type of agriculture is controlled environment agriculture, CEA. It's any agricultural technology that enables the grower to manipulate a crop's environment to desired conditions. That's a Wikipedia definition of what CEA stands for. This is just some pictures of our system. It is a hybridized system. It is not NFT and it's not deep water culture. We've made a hybridized system that uses both technological advantages in one system to be able to maximize the growth of the plant as well as to maximize the yield in a certain space. All right, one of our one of our most important words that we like to use is optimization as well as innovation. We want to optimize and innovate as much as possible. We always invest in active cooling and ventilation. We actively manage humidity because humidity is one of the most important things when you're dealing with growth of plants, especially temperate plants in a tropical country. We manage the air purification. Once the air is purified, it also helps to ensure that the plants are healthy, especially for human consumption. We invest heavily in our source nutrient quality in our growing systems. My father is a chemist. He spent the past 15 years working on hydroponics in Africa. And he's been working on making the perfect blend for the different crops that we grow. That way the plants get exactly what it needs to be able to grow in the optimal environments to give you the best possible yield you can get. Right, so we have two different types of plants that you can grow. One is vegetative, which is botanical tissue, that's like leafy greens, lettuce, herbs, seedlings, and certain things like that, as well as botanical fruits. The fruiting plants and the leafy greens, they grow in a different style system, but they can all grow hydroponically. So like I was saying earlier, is that we have a hybridized system, NFT, as well as deep water culture. NFT basically is a very thin film of nutrient that runs in the pipe that's able to give the plant the nutrients it needs. Deep water culture is when you actually submerge the entire root system inside water to be able to grow the plant. Our system takes both of these. So we get the benefits of having the NFT system where the plant's able to get enough oxygen as well as nutrients. But in the case of power outages, we also have a slightly deep water culture aspect to it so that it can survive up to 2 weeks without any kind of current or any kind of power and still be able to survive. Right, so here you can see there's on the left-hand side, these are the feed rails. The nutrient comes from the tank, it goes into each rail through these feed rails. Then it runs through these main rails that you see here on the right. And the plants go into these holes using these cups, and they go directly into the solution where the roots are able to connect to each other on both sides and anchor the plant into the system. And because it's designed this way, you're able to get double the amount of produce, up to triple the amount of produce grown in the same space, as opposed to doing a normal NFT system. Our system was originally designed to be able to use aquaponics as well. So at the bottom would have the fish. The fish would be at the bottom of the system. We'd feed the fish would produce waste. The waste would then be pumped through the rails to feed the plants, and you'd have a whole closed loop, whole closed system right there that you're able to have your fish, have your plants, and basically have a system that can feed a family. So the components of the system, the light exclusion reduces the algae growth because algae competes for your plants, competes with your plants with the nutrients. Consistent solution flow adequately delivers nutrients to the plants, and various channel lengths. So we have 4 feet channels as well as 8 feet channels. And each one is used to grow different crops as well as different amounts. In terms of the home unit, which would be the 4 foot, or the commercial unit is 8. And the different holes in system would be based on the crops you're growing. So once you know what crop you're going to grow, the space you have, we can then design the perfect system to be able to fit that space to give you the maximum yield that you would need in your space. All right, so the different crops that we're growing currently, aside from strawberries and apples, would be buttercrunch lettuce, the red lettuce, and the bronze buttercrunch. Because of our system, how it's controlled, we're able to control basically we're able to control what's day and night for these plants. So we're able to put them on different light cycles that can actually speed up the growth of the plant. So for buttercrunch, it takes 28 days, 5 days from seed to harvest. So within 1 month, you can go from a seed to harvesting a lettuce. Basically, as well as the red is actually grows a lot quicker. So you get 28 days, 14, 28 days to harvest, and the bronze 14 to 30 days. So there's a very high turnover rate. And the light and temperature also affects this as well. So finding the perfect balance is key. And that's one of the things that we've had to learn through trial and error. Various choices of media. So you can use rock wool, you can use peat, you can use cork plugs. We don't use any media currently because of the cups that we use. The plant can go directly into the system, and the roots anchor themselves with the plant next to it. So you don't need any kind of media to help anchor the plant. All right, what's not in the presentation right now is the BOSS control system, which Vishnu had mentioned. It's a controller that I designed. It's basically meant to remove the difficulty in managing the greenhouse off the person. So it acts like the brain. Once you set up the controller, it will monitor. It will constantly be monitoring the conditions of the solution and the environment. And once things start to move out of balance, it corrects it. So you personally, all you have to do is plant, monitor, or plant and harvest, and walk in every now and then to make sure things are running smoothly. So that's why that's one of the reasons why we say that we want to optimize and innovate. The system is basically optimized to make planting and growing easy. Right, so that is it for us today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Charran, for sharing that very detailed of what it is that your innovation in agribusiness or agriculture, is doing. And I know a lot of people have been able to learn from that and will be reaching out to you if they would like more information and know how to connect with you. So I want to thank you very much for taking the time to share that and really also share with us how we're doing business globally, because that is what we're talking about this afternoon, global trade opportunity, whether it's in the agribusiness space or, as Hellen mentioned earlier, in the creative industry space in music, which I would say music soundtrack to our lives. We all know with music that, it connects us to a time and place. So that's very, very important. So I want to thank you both, Mr. Vishnu and Charran, for taking time to come into the Africa Trade Conference to share with us your innovation. And thank you, Hellen, very much for your time. And we wish you all the best in your business and in the endeavors that you do. Thank you very much.
Thank you also.